And you still got paid? They paid you to not know any of this? Like, what did you do? As the lead person, you're just like, I didn't know, I don't know. Like, you got millions of dollars to not know anything about your own bank? You were awful at your job, obviously, right? But at the end, you benefited while the small business community in the country hurt. You know what that looks like when I go back to my community and they're like wondering why we can't claw back the fact that you benefited while everybody else suffered. I mean, do you care that you even would have collapsed the financial system in our country with your greed? Thank you so much, and I really appreciate my colleague from North Carolina, because I think this is going to help answer the question that you refuse to answer, Mr. Becker. If you look at the screen, you look at the slide there, it's pretty clear. Just so we're clear, because I know you're blaming social media. You're actually somebody that's blaming. You're not looking at me, Mr. Becker. I'm right here. Yep. You're blaming social media for your mismanagement and so forth, which to me clearly looks like greed. Because you're not stupid. You're just being greedy because you wanted to get a payout. Just so we're clear for the record, were you aware of any material or non-public information such as the potential capital raise before January 6th trading plan change that allowed you to sell over $3 million in stock, in Silicon Valley Bank stock?
When the plan was set up, I was not aware.
On January 26th, you changed a corporate trading plan, allowing the future sale of your shares in the company, correct?
On that date?
January 26th.
I filed a 10b5-1 plan that was signed off on by our legal team.
Okay, so it's yes, yes. So again, the question, were you aware of any material non-public information, such as the potential capital raise before January 6th trading plan change that allowed you to sell over $3 million in Silicon Valley Bank stock?
When that plan was set up, I was not aware of the plan to raise capital.
So, Mr. Becker, given the federal funds rate increased more than 3% points during 2022, why did your company unwind these swaps, exposing your firm to further rate increases? Because everybody wants to know the answer to the why.
Congresswoman, as mentioned earlier, the decision around our interest rate hedges was made or overseen by our Asset Liability Committee and executed by our Treasury team.
Given the interest rates continue to rise under your leadership, until the collapse, did you feel that terminating these swaps were safe and sound practice?
Congresswoman, as mentioned, I was not involved in those decisions.
Yep. Given your incentive compensation plan, Mr. Becker, I mean, the Financial Times reported that the interest rate swap sales resulted in a gain of $500 million for Silicon Valley Bank in the first 2 quarters of 2022 alone. Given your incentive compensation plan and other forms of pay, did you benefit from terminating its hedges against interest rates?
Congresswoman, if I could clarify 2 points.
Did you get money for it? Did you benefit from that decision?
Congresswoman, can I clarify the point that you're making?
Sure.
So the hedges are, when hedges are changed, sold, the benefit, if there is a benefit, it's actually amortized over several years. That was not taken into income that period of time. And secondly, our compensation committee would actually review anything that they believed was an anomaly outside of our standard practices and back that out typically from incentive compensation.
But Mr. Becker, do you think selling the hedges to interest rate risk is ultimately good for your depositors, shareholders, and other in our own financial system in the country as a whole? Was it just good for you, or was it for the executives at Silicon Valley that benefit from the sales through your incentive-based compensation? Because according to this timeline, it looked like you set it up so you all benefit and walked away, while every other bank in our financial system was literally like at jeopardy.
Congresswoman, our compensation was set up for long-term incentives.
You knew. You knew. You knew a couple years. Even if we increase regulation, they sent you notices. They met with you guys. What do you want them to do? Come arrest you and so you can respond to the fact that they saw that you guys were making really, really terrible terrible decisions. I mean, I love that GAO calls it poor governance and mismanagement. You were awful at your job, obviously, right? But at the end, you benefited while the small business community in the country hurt.